Hey guys, GoatJesus here. I'm trying to start uploading more, and I'm opening up a Patreon due to the fact I was signed on with Creative Nation, and they stole almost $500 in ad revenue from me. I just signed off with them, but my contract doesn't end until the 29th, so I won't be making any money off of any uploads until then. The full FMA vs. Brotherhood Part 2 is an hour long, so if you have $2 to throw, please consider donating. It's waiting on Patreon right this second. Otherwise, I'll post it publicly when I can. Here's a sizable chunk of the video for now, showcasing one of the worst episodes of FMA 2003. This was intended to be after the main video, so just keep that in mind when you're watching. I hope you enjoy. Let's just skewer episode 4 of FMA, A Forger's Love. Loved by no one, this episode is an anime-exclusive filler crap, and to me is by far the worst of the anime-exclusive filler craps in FMA. Yes, more so than other Elrics. It has all the qualities that make for bad filler. Plot elements that contradict the story later on, world-building inconsistencies up the wazoo, bad character writing, nitpicks that would make your movie suck's head spin, and ultimately is ignored by the rest of the show forevermore. If the first 3 episodes ranged from incredible to good, this is easily a 1 out of 10 by comparison, and I urge anyone showing Fullmetal Alchemist to a friend for the first time to simply skip this in episode 10. Just both those ones. 03, all in all, would be a much better show if these episodes didn't exist. And by no coincidence, they were written by the same person, Toshiki Inoue. While Sho Aikawa is responsible for writing the vast majority of episodes in FMA 03, and definitely pens some of the best, most cerebral episodes, Toshiki Inoue is responsible for some of the worst writing, and has only written 4 out of the 51. While Inoue himself has credits on shows like Death Note was pretty much a manga-perfect adaptation with only 2 anime original sequences. Death Note is more of an example of a transcription than actually requiring any kind of writing talent. I haven't seen anything else on his resume, but I have no intention if this is an example of what he can do. A Forger's Love starts off well enough with a recap of what happened in the previous, and it's pretty emotional. They reaffirm their goal to become state alchemists and stop by a train station when suddenly, oh no, a purse snatcher! They get up and are immediately confronted by said snatcher. The guy in both dub and sub sees Al and Ed and immediately assumes they're both children.
Off to bed with you, like good little boys now.
Because, yeah, when I see a 7-foot+ suit of armor, I think, yeah, that's a little boy. Al claps down, and suddenly this whole elaborate transmutation circle is underneath this dude. It must have been drawn in like 5 seconds. Alphonse, is there some kind of supersonic speed ability you weren't telling us about? The guy, of course, does one thing that I absolutely hate and just stands there like an idiot instead of shooting Al while he's doing his glowy magic thing. Amazingly, a cage crops up very specifically around the dude, but he was standing on the edge of the circle. Wouldn't the cage have been in the center? Whatever. A police guy tells the boys there's an alchemist named Majahal in a village with some zombies. Wowzers! A zombie anime episode? How could this possibly go wrong? The boys decide to investigate because this Majahal person wrote their dad.
He wrote about human transmutation. I figure if it's the same Majahal, it can't hurt to pay him a visit.
You know, after losing a few limbs and your brother, going to a village of the Walking Dead to talk to some guy about human transmutation just seems like a natural path to take. Okay, Al, you're the voice of reason. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be a good trip.
Ed and Al are just minding their business when suddenly fireworks get launched in their face, and then they're picked on by some small children. And for no fracking reason, these brats decide to assault and maim our heroes.
Show them how we welcome strangers.
I already deeply care for these people. And Inoue, because, you know, he's a writing mastermind, he has Ed trip over a rock, which causes Al to then trip, breaking a pillar and falling on Ed, losing the battle. Why was this elaborate setup a thing? Well, so Majahal could come onto the scene and fix the pillar to show Ed that he's an alchemist.
You must be Majahal. I want to know more about human transmutation.
Ed tries to learn more about human transmutation before a lady comes by.
She had recently succeeded in cultivating the extremely rare blue rose.
Hello, Mr. Majahal. I made a batch of rose jam and had some extra.
Oh gee, I wonder if she's trying to give you a fucking hint, Majahal, since, you know, you did lose that babe back in the day who was obsessed with roses. I wonder if she's trying to send some signals, Majahal. Klaus swings by the house, who is ratted out by somebody. I have no clue. She's supposed to make an apology, and they stand at the doorway and just kind of deliver exposition.
I know your sister's death affected you.
My sister didn't just up and die. She was killed by that dead girl.
This is so badly handled. You know, it's stupidly easy to just have characters stand there spouting exposition. It's unnatural and it blows. Klaus then runs away because I guess she got emotional and junk. She trips over a rock. What is with you and rocks, Inoue? She rolls down a hill and Ed, yet again, draws a circle in less than 2 seconds. Why is it the same one from before, but this one does ice alchemy? Fuck if I know! And more exposition. She asks them to help her sister's death by the hands of zombies, and Ed refuses because, gee, I wonder why. Klaus, of course, unleashes a flurry of insults, the likes of which would sting even the strongest of warriors.
Cause you're nothing but a couple of chickens.
Chicken, Peter, you just a little chicken. Chip, 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 chip.
But Ed goes a little bit too far in his retort.
If you're a girl like they all say, why do you look like a paper boy?
Okay, Ed, you got what you came for. Majahal didn't have any useful information about human transmutation, and you just turned down the offer to help Klaus on what's going on, so it's time to hightail it out again. Oh, you're gonna help figure out what's with the zombies.
I don't buy ghosts or zombies or the living dead. But supposing someone were to perform a human transmutation, the only one around here capable of such a thing would be Majahal.
Gee, I wonder if it's Majahal, the guy who clearly obsesses over the dead Karen person, who is now walking around the town like the living dead. I wonder if it has something to do with this guy, Majahal.
What was that?
Then Ed hears a weird sound in the hall. Of course, instead of investigating, he decides to go to the graveyard and see if zombies are walking around. Logic! A zombie then shows up, and Majahal, of course, is there at the perfect time to burn the thing, leading Ed to conclude to go back to the house and check what the weird sound in the hall was. The lady from earlier who was delivering rose jam suddenly shows up and shines a magic candle at Ed. Okay. This was done to knock him out, so he doesn't find Majahal's Oh, that's kind of awkward. Majahal shows up and somehow incapacitates Al. Apparently, Majahal's circle can repair stone, become a substance that can conduct fire, and now knock out soul-bound suits of armor. In a way, you need a new circle each time you do a different type of alchemy. In a way, Al and Ed are chained up in his lair since they did see his secret after all. This is all your fault, Magic Candle Lady. Majahal tells Ed and Al his master plan. He's been binding souls of village girls to dummies that look like his long-lost girlfriend, which, by the way, I think he's fucking on the side. Majahal wants Ed to do the same thing he did for Al since his dummies don't work for more than a few days. Of course, Klaus shows up at the perfect time. Now Karen, in a bout of bravery, stands up to Taj Mahal.
And you should try turning the other cheek, wench!
You know, Karen's been apparently in on this whole Majahal transmuting little girls thing for quite some time now. How she got involved is never explained. She hasn't bothered to do anything, has just been watching this serial killer go after little girls and turning them into sex dolls. Karen, girl, you don't stay with the abusive men like this. Come on. Gather a whole mob of people, you know what I'm saying? Ed and Al break free and reveal that the obvious lady who is clearly Karen is Karen.
I'm trying to tell you that Corinne never died. The day of the accident, she hit her head.
Oh, amnesia, of course.
Silence, child. Say one more word, and you're dead!
And this is probably some of the worst animation I've seen in the whole show. Weirdly, this sequence was done by the legend himself, Yoriyuki Amaishi. You can kind of tell he's phoning it in, and I'm not blaming him. First of all, the repair fire knockout thing manages to turn a screwdriver that's like infinitesimally tiny into a sword of several times the mass that the original screwdriver was. Do you know how alchemy works? Majahal charges forward. This is a sliding still frame with only the background and a bit of the hair moving. Then Al comes in, also a sliding still frame. Then there's this incomprehensible bit. Cue shaky cam, blur effects, bad cutting. Ed turns a rose into a ribbon and somehow whips the sword out of Majahal's hand, sending it flying into the air. Majahal stares at it as it twirls a bunch of times and then kills him on the landing. This is just awful. Some of the worst paced, worst storyboarded sequences in either Fullmetal Alchemist or FMA Brotherhood. Plus, the scene has Edward pretty much directly responsible for killing someone, which definitely lessens the impact of both Nina and directly contradicts the importance of greed as someone who breaks Ed's streak of having not killed anyone on his journey for the stone. The show ignores this completely. And then we end on some good old-fashioned sexism.
You're definitely much prettier when you don't dress like a paper boy!
As far as I'm concerned, the show pretends like this episode didn't happen. You should pretend like this episode didn't happen. It's a blemish on the whole series of 2003, and is thankfully one that you can avoid. It marks the absolute lowest point in both writing and directing. There is nothing important here. Thankfully, here on out, things do go uphill, with a few stumbles, of course. I figured this would be a fun way to wrap up the video for both Broho and FMA OG fans. I'll see you guys next time. GoatJesus out. YouTube AdSense failed to pay me several $100s due to my partnership randomly disappearing. Nobody notified me for half a fucking year. All that money is gone for good, and I need to pay school supplies, whatnot, with being up to debt $300,000 in student loans. And that's not even covering everything. I have to buy a freaking laptop for this school. For now, this is all I've got. Consider donating to my Patreon for early access to YouTube videos and helping a brother out. Any amount helps. Thank you all so much. Love you. Peace.